got good and some bad news regarding Assassin's Creed Shadows. Following the hands-on previews, I got a ton of new gameplay, lots to go over, including info on legacy outfits. But I want to start with a brand new weapon type that will be added to the game after launch, the bow staff. It was already leaked, but now we have some images and footage of it, and it's actually Naue who will be using the weapon, which kinda cool as she doesn't have a slower two-handed option at launch. One of the nice things I figured out while playing Naue is that with the 10 toes you can do a leap strike. So normally when holding the light or heavy attack button and letting go you do this attack, but with the leap strike you can do the dodge button after charging the light or heavy attack for this gap closer, and I would not be surprised if the staff for Naue has something like this as well, where she uses the staff as a pole. And the developers confirmed to me that new weapons that will be added post-launch will also come with their brand new skill tree and ability, like the one that we already see for the existing weapons. Now all Naue her weapons of course also have a dedicated assassination, the double assassination for the Tento, the assassination through the Soji door with the katana, and the rush assassination with the Kusarigama. So curious what it will be for this staff, maybe an easier way to knock out enemies instead of having to grab them and then knock them out. Your theories are of course more than welcome. But yes, this new weapon type is part of the first expansion, the Claws of Awaji, that you get for pre-ordering any edition of the game. And that Throne to the Docks quest is also a pre-order bonus. We now also learned that completing that should include a special reward. Maybe that particular animal we are helping as a pet for in our settlements that we can then have run around and pet. Real quick, going back to that first DLC though, because it also includes a brand new island that we can already see on the map, with the creative director confirming to me that it will actually be a bit bigger than what we see here. We will travel to this new location to find a lost treasure and will be hunted by a new enemy faction, the Senzoku Ippa. That will have traps and ambushes set up for us. Kind of getting Wrath of the Druids vibes, and fun fact, the studio behind that Valhalla DLC and also Mirage, Ubisoft Bordeaux, is leading the development on this Shadows expansion. 10 hours of new content, I think 2 to 3 months after launch is when we will see it. I will of course keep you up to date here. Now one of the things we've all been wondering about is if we are able to turn off the black and white filter you see when assassinating a special target, but especially during combat encounters, you will see this filter very often when doing abilities. And there are also attacks that last like 10 seconds and then your screen will look like this for the full duration. Well, as you might know, during my stream of the game, creative director Jonathan Dumont joined and said that they are looking into it. So we should not expect a toggle to turn this off probably at launch, but a little after release. So yeah, great news. And in the spirit of more options is better, we also learned more about the guided mode. So by default, the game will be on exploration mode that you might know from the previous games. So then you will get clues that hint at where the quest objective is. New in Shadows though are the scouts that you can use in that nearby area to reveal the actual location, but you have a limited amount of them, so cannot always use them. You can however pay in-game money to get them back at a safe house, or you can wait for a season to change, which takes 2.5 hours in-game time, and then you will get your scouts back as well. So while the game recommends that you play with those scouts, if you turn on the guided mode, you will simply always see the next quest marker on the map, so you won't have to use this system to look for them. So it's kind of a cheat, because this will also save you money. You don't have to bring your scouts back, and you can use your scouts for other things like gathering resources for your home base. So good to keep that in mind when choosing what mode you're gonna use. We also learned about New Game Plus, and this is good news. Jonathan namely also joined the stream of Frankie Boy, Fragnard, my friend of course, who you can know from the weekly Assassin's Creed show we do together on Wednesday on my second channel. I will leave a link to it in the video description. So here Jonathan basically confirmed that they are working on New Game Plus already, and that there's a high chance that it will come after launch. For Mirage, this was 2 months after release, Odyssey almost 5, so I think it will be close to Mirage, although it's likely harder to implement this feature in Shadows. But here it will in particular be really awesome to replay the game with all our unlocks, because you can then simply pick the other character during big main story missions. And Skill Up was able to try the final main mission of the demo we got to play, and he noticed that with Yasuke the level design would be different. Like here things would be blocked off, while if you would play Naue during this section there was a hidden passage instead that lets you enter and crawl around the castle. So you will have quite a different experience going through the game again, and this of course next to being able to make different dialogue choices and the overall dialogue between Yasuke and Naue being slightly different. Before I touch on the bad news, Jonathan also noted during Fragnard's stream that they are looking into different game modes that change up the game's difficulty, maybe in terms of lethality. Now of course nothing has been confirmed, but when he says lethality, I think of the lethal mode in Ghost of Tsushima, where enemies, instead of like being able to take multiple hits, would die from just 1 or 2 hits, but you would die from a few hits as well. So again, nothing confirmed in regards to these game modes, but Jonathan does seem to hint at something like that for the post-launch as well. Now onto the bad news, and a quick reminder, I'm doing a giveaway for 3 copies of Shadows. Simply be a subscriber of the channel, like the video, and they can enter via the link in the pinned comment. For one, there will not be any legacy outfits in the game at launch. So I did see a Ubisoft Connect option in the settings, but when I asked the game director Charles about it, he said that I don't know anything about that. We do have a new system for clove and physics, so it's not as easy as it once was to just bring them back. But it's not impossible. And also Jonathan during my stream said that it will probably not happen at launch, but that they would likely show up at one point. Still curious if this only means legacy outfits for Naue and not for Yasuke, because we know he cannot wear a hood. Yasuke could get a cool iconic armor though from the previous games, which would still be awesome. Now Charles did hint at the fact that there will be a pretty convincing assassin outfit for Naue that we can find somewhere in the game. Okay. I wonder if this is similar to the Pilgrim outfit that we could find in Odyssey, which of course had the iconic white and red colors while not being a direct legacy outfit. Your theories are of course more than welcome in the comments down below. We also learned, thanks to a very in-depth video by JorRaptor that I will leave a link to in the video description, that while thanks to the new parkour down mechanic, where you can dodge before the edge to more fluidly move through the environment with Naue, the bad news is that Shadows overall does not have the parkour improvements Ubisoft added with Mirage at launch and during the post-launch. In particular, the increased range of the back and side ejects are not in Shadows. So in Mirage, you could easily use these to skill buildings and get higher up, but in Shadows, you very often, when using the side or back eject, lose height or do not go higher, so you will lose a ton of momentum. You have to use the extra beams to climb up, or you will hang on the edge instead and have to pull yourself up. Again, if you are curious, I totally recommend checking the in-depth video from JorRaptor, as he points out a ton of other parkour things as well that I just wasn't really able to try as I was focused on other things. And the cool thing is that Ubisoft already put a comment down saying that they appreciate the clear and candid feedback in your video, and I really would not be surprised if they already got on the phone with people at Ubisoft Bordeaux who did Mirage to update these systems in Shadows as well. Now we already know that they used the delay from November to February to improve the parkour among other things, and they want to use the extra month to March 20th for even more feedback also from the preview event. Like, I don't think the parkour in Shadows will ever get to the level of Mirage, simply because back that was really made with parkour in mind, and right now it seems that Ubisoft chose the realism of the Japanese architecture over a really fluid parkour system. To be fair though, we have not seen like a real big city like Kyoto, so maybe there are more parkour opportunities there. But this does highlight an issue we had with recent titles over the years, that because they are in development alongside each other, we don't get the improvements made in one game in the next title, which is something the new Animus pipeline they now use for Shadows should fix. Still, it also seems like a communication issue, because the feedback the Mirage team received at the end of 2023 seemingly did not reach the development team working on Shadows until now. So let's hope they can still add it to the game before launch or otherwise shortly after. Like, the Shadows parkour is totally a step up from the RPG games, but it could totally be much better. I, by the way, got a video planned with some realistic things that I hope Ubisoft looks at for the release or the post-launch that I think would make the game way more enjoyable, so subscribe to not miss that, and way more Shadows content of course coming your way. A like on the video would of course be awesome. Check out my in-depth video on the Animus hub and what that all entails by clicking on the screen, and I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.